One of the irritating things about the M50 is that it's difficult to change between photo and video stuff. Some of the settings I prefer different for those two different things. With the autofocus especially, that's one of them where I want different autofocus settings, but even if you use the main dial and switch between video mode and photo mode, it's just not going to save or change all the settings back. It's a little frustrating, but it's manageable. It's actually not too bad. So far I'm using touch to focus where I want, and it basically stays there for the most part unless I move around too much. But it's working out okay so far. Trying to get some of this stuff here. This is an interesting area. I don't know if the winds did it or some person, but there's some open spots throughout these. Came through that little pathway over there. It's a little precarious to walk on this stuff for sure. I'm gonna try to get some photos around here. It's turned out a lot more interesting than I was expecting. So many different areas are open up in the winter that you don't normally get to. And this spot, this large path, is usually where cars drive on. So that's interesting to see it from that back perspective. You can see behind me, it's a really nice large path. Snow on it. I think the people around here use it for skiing, you know, the cross-country skiing. That's a great option, I'm sure. So they blocked this off. I don't know how far, but that would be definitely something to try out. This spot right here is really interesting. It's got the nice reflections in the muggy water, but I think I can do something with that. Might not have a lens that's long enough. I do have the other camera in the back that I can pull out. It goes to 45 millimeters, but I like that reflection right here. Oh yeah. So this spot is definitely going to be good for photos. So many trees in the area, just sprinkled with snow. I did bring a neutral density and a polarizing filter. I will probably try out the polarizing filter once I get away from these cars a little bit. They're super loud. Now we have the circular polarizer on the lens. See if any difference when I adjust it. I had to go back to 24 frames a second and I lowered the shutter speed and everything. So now we're back to decent exposures with that polarizer on the lens. I don't know what it's set at, but one thing to keep in mind when it's cold out and you have filters on your lenses, you want to take those filters off before you go in a warm area. Otherwise it's going to likely get stuck on the camera lens. So something to remember for sure. I've done it a few times. Hopefully I remember this time. Alright, got rid of the polarizer, back to the standard UV filter. Just here to have fun, enjoy photography, take some photos, get some exercise in, and you know, it's a really beautiful day today. It's a little brisk, but I have so much clothes on, it doesn't matter, not cold at all. The thing is to dress for your conditions. 2 hats on. I have the fingerless gloves and the sander gloves with the tips that work on touchscreens. You know, multiple jackets on 3 of them. This area is a little darker than other areas. So many more trees around. Look really nice though, so I'm gonna get in there a little deeper and see if I can get anything interesting with these tall trees. I had to up the ISO to 400 for the video. We're using 11 to 22 at 11 millimeters at the moment, and I'm doing 60 frames a second for some reason, just for slow-mo so I don't have to switch between the 2 modes. Again, with the M50, there's no custom settings, so you can see all that stuff, really nice. There's no custom settings on the M50, really, except for one screen where you can put options, but in this case, it would be really useful because I'm doing so many different things at once. So let's take a few more photos. Probably have to head back pretty soon. Thing to consider when you're going to places like this, they close relatively early in the winter. I mentioned it before, but 5 p.m. You always have to consider your walk back when you walk into places because it just takes a while to get around. This place is large, so don't want to get stuck in here. Haven't seen a single person yet, which is interesting. It's usually relatively busy, but there are definitely paths that are harder to get to, take more time. But it's a beautiful area as well. It's a nice spot. Good one for a photo. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Tried to do more vlogging style today, which is challenging in its own way. Haven't done it much, but it's good to practice things and get more used to it. The good thing about vlogging, in my opinion, is that it's more personal usually. Get to go along for the ride, join someone when they're doing something. It doesn't really matter what they're doing most of the time, but it's like you go along for the ride. So gonna try that out a little bit more and more as we go and see how it works out. With my other style videos, they are definitely time consuming to do. I make the talking portion and then I piece together everything, and I think they're relatively professional-ish, but it is definitely nice to try this stuff as well. So we'll see in the edit how it all turns out. But the biggest challenge, at least for me with these M50 cameras, is that my arm's getting tired, which is why it's moving around so much. With the M50 is that it doesn't have those custom settings. I'm going to mention it so much. Maybe when the M5 II, if it ever releases or it comes out, I'll potentially get one of those, which should make it easier. I assume I've never used the original M5, but I assume it has some type of full custom save settings modes. But that would be really nice to have with situations like this when you're switching between photos and videos, different types of videos. You want to do slow mode, you want to do regular stuff, use different frames per second. And you know, it's all these little things together with one camera is super challenging. I did have the other camera, I used it a little bit, but I was trying to use just the one camera mostly, get some nice photos with the snow and everything else. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, going along with the simple little journey on the snow photography. So that's it. Scott from Photography Bonsai. Again, thanks for checking out my videos. If you did enjoy it, please consider subscribing. Helps me out a lot. Likes and shares help out us a lot as well. Thanks again. Probably not the best idea, but I took a route that was different on the way back. But I was glad I did. This, again, beautiful trees with a little bit of snow on them. Definitely worth trying different paths. but just make sure you know where you're going for the most part. At least the general area.